Hi guys, Rob from Rob's Model Cars, and you join me today for part 6 of how to build the Pocher Lamborghini Aventador Roadster. Now, in the last part, part 5, we finished the engine in its subframe here, and we're going to continue to move on from this last step. So we've just got a couple of braces to add to this assembly, and then we're going to move on to the front suspension and keep moving forward. So I stopped at this stage on the last episode because I wanted to add some carbon fibre decal to this engine brace. So not sure how well you can see that, but I've used some Scale Motorsport 1/12 scale carbon fibre, and then I've flow coated this in about 4 coats of 2-pack clear gloss, so that's going to fit over the top there. And then while I was doing those carbon fibre pieces, I also did the air scoops for the side skirts. So I wrapped these in the same 1/12 scale carbon fibre decals, and then clear coated them in 2-pack clear as well. So yeah, just continuing to keep painting things as I'm going, and yeah, we're going to basically just keep moving forward with the model and see how far we get in this episode. Okay, so that was a very tedious process. I didn't film it all because I had to wait 5 or 10 minutes for every hose end to glue in. Now my super glue wasn't working on these rubber hoses, but the Humbrol poly cement was, so I just had to glue one end of a hose into a hole, let it dry for 5 minutes, do the next one, and I had to repeat that process. So that's all the little hoses in the front assembly. That has been the most tedious and, let's say, difficult process so far of this kit, but that's all together there now. These just have to be sort of bent and maneuvered into place. I'm not sure how they sit yet until I get to the next one, but yeah, just take your time with that one, and yeah, well, let's keep moving on. Okay, so that's the front compartment together. The only real issue I had was where the steering pivot point screws into that metal piece underneath it. I had to take that battery box setup out, which is attached to that metal frame. Just make sure that that screw, I'm not sure when you can see it, just make sure that that screw drove in properly, and then I refitted it. So that actually is going to join onto the steering wheel. You can see that there, pivoting, that little piece there. So that was the only tricky little bit I feel with this one. I just had to make sure that that screw was threaded in there properly. And all of these suspension screws, they recommend just to do it up tight and then back the screw off 180 degrees. Now I've done that, and it has the full travel as well. So that's basically the front section, so time to move on. Okay, so there's one more thing I'm going to do to finish off this video, and that is another modification to the brakes. Now I feel that the brake rotors on these Pocher models somewhat lets the model down. They're not very realistic, and having a closer inspection, the holes are quite small and they don't even go through in most cases for these brake rotor ventilation. So you can see these ones on this side. I've actually drilled these ones out already compared to the factory ones, so I'm not sure whether you can tell much difference, but I'm going to repaint these as well to represent a carbon brake rotor. So they shouldn't really be silver on the Aventador unless it only had the steel brake option, but I think it'll look a lot better, the model, with these painted in a carbon grey colour, and then we'll actually come back and paint the centrepiece, because this is a two-piece rotor, and then leave all the little bolt heads silver. But what I'm doing to drill out all these little ventilation holes is I'm using my trusty little Tamiya battery operated drill, and I bought a little drill set. Now these are a 0.6 of a millimeter drill bit, so quite small, but bigger than these holes here. So they might look a little bit big on here, but they will fill up a little bit with paint as well. So it's a tedious process, but all we basically do is just start with one row of holes and just drill all the way around. And that's basically all we have to do. We've just got to keep going around and drilling all the holes out. It's only a very small drill bit, so it will find the original hole, and it will just open it up. You always have to just keep cleaning your drill bits to get the plastic off. But that's basically all we have to do, is just start with one row and just work your way around. Now these ones only took maybe about 15 minutes to drill both of these, and I'm just going to repeat the same process with these. Then I will actually glue these together, so that these pieces are a backing plate, and these are the front pieces, the ones with the bolt. So once I drill all these out, I'll glue these together before I paint them, just so you don't have any missing paint on the edge when these are cut away from the sprues. But that's just one more little modification that I think is going to make a big difference to the finished model. So that's basically going to wrap up part 6 of how to build the Pocher Lamborghini Aventador. Once I finish just doing a couple of these little modifications and painting the last few bits and pieces, we're basically going to move on to actually starting to put all the bodywork together. So that will be the front and rear subframes that I've just finished, and then that starts putting the bumpers together, windows in the model, and then we're on the home stretch. So stay tuned for part 7. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoy the video. Feel free to share the video also on social media as well. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying the series so far. I'm enjoying building this large-scale Lamborghini model. It should turn out pretty good. So that's it for part 6. Stay tuned for part 7, and thanks for watching Rob's Model Cars.